Hello and good evening, and welcome to the Star Chamber Show live podcast. It is a great Wednesday evening, a very warm Wednesday evening, I might add, here in Lexington, Kentucky, where yours truly, Stephen Zimmer, am broadcasting from. And yes, tonight it's not going to be a overly long episode. It's not our usual night. It is a Thursday evening because yes, Holly was on another one of her extended Indiana adventures, and so yeah, we had some scheduling stuff yesterday that kind of messed things up, and then Ollie actually got caught in some bad traffic today and came back late. So it's gonna be just me hosting tonight. So hope that's not too much of a disappointment for you all. But I definitely appreciate those of you that are coming into the chat room. I can see that we have J.M. Selly, we have the mighty Amy Leigh McCorkle, we have Melinda Andrews, Carol Pre-Flattish, and L.J. Mack. Yes, that is a lot of talent when it comes to writing, as far as the first wave of people into the chat room. So yes, I'm looking forward to getting some input from you tonight. We definitely will take questions and comments because we're going to have a theme show tonight. It's going to be a topic that is very pertinent for next month's Imaginarium and for all of your live events. I'm going to be talking a little bit about conventions and live events and preparing for them, making the most out of them, and giving you some thoughts and insights that will help you to get the most out of the things that you book yourself on. And so, yes, we're going to be getting into that in just a second. But of course, we want to give you all the latest updates on Imaginarium, which is coming very, very soon. I do have a program note. We probably will not have a show next week, as Holly has told me that next Wednesday, which is my birthday, I need to be free. So I don't know what's being planned. But I don't know if any of you all are in on it or anything. But she said I need to be free next Wednesday, so we may not be doing a show next week. And yeah, I do kind of really need a break in a little bit, because yeah, we got to get rested up a little bit before the final couple of weeks before Imaginarium. So it makes sense. So there may not be a show next week, but the week after will be the big preview show. We always do one every year, and we go over everything that's happening in Imaginarium. It's usually a very extensive show, and so we'll be doing that on the Wednesday after next. So yeah, there will be a big show in 2 weeks that will give you a full scope view of Imaginarium, all the programming, events, activities, and all that kind of good stuff taking place, which of course we are preparing for on a daily basis here. And so, yes, in the last few days, we've had a wave of new guests announced. And like I said, like I tell people, always have new additions coming up right to the show. And we're also going to give you somebody that's not been announced yet that I will be formally announce tomorrow. But we've had a number of great panelists come aboard and get announced in the last week. And they include some new folks that have never been to Imaginarium before, and then some folks that you'll recognize. One is new, coming all the way from Iowa, author Maeve Brooks. And I'm really excited to have Maeve joining us this year as a panelist. And we announced her along with, of course, the award-winning author Cassandra Morgan. We all know Cassandra. We love Cassandra. She's part of our great staff, but she's also a great author. And yes, we are going to make sure that she gets to offer her insights and advice on a few panels. So we went ahead and got her announced as a panelist, just so you know that she will be in the programming. And then we also announced author, screenwriter, artist, filmmaker, poet, and actor Sheridan C. Hall. He'll be returning. He's also a big mental health advocate, and definitely a great guy. Really looking forward to having Sheridan back with us. We also got to announce author, editor, and collections acquisition specialist for public libraries, L.J. Mack. L.J. is currently in the chat room, which is awesome. And yeah, we are excited because she is going to be a vendor in Creatives Alley, and she will also be a panelist with us. Plus, I mean, how cool, I mean, have as one of your credits, collections acquisition specialist for public libraries. I mean, that is some unique insight that you're going to be able to get from her on topics and panels. So definitely look forward to that. And then this week we actually had somebody come aboard who is replacing one of our vendors. One of our vendors who is going to be a panelist still, but couldn't run a table during the weekend. Ended up having their table worked that out for this guest to come aboard as a vendor. So yes, I was informed that got completed this week, and so yes, she is also going to be coming aboard as a panelist, and that would be author and artist Darlene Franklin Campbell. And I recently met her when I did that Danville, Kentucky event, the Gene Penn, the Gene Penn event in Danville, Kentucky, and that was awesome. The 28th annual celebration of writers, and I did meet her there. She's fantastic. She's a great fantasy author and also a great artist as well. But she's coming to Imaginarium for the first time, and as it worked out, yeah, she's going to end up being in Creatives Alley too. And then, last but not least, we have another guest that just joined us as a panelist. It is one of our official selection filmmakers, and coming all the way from Canada, and Toronto, Canada, to be specific, and that would be screenwriter and filmmaker Craig Urquhart. And so, yes, really looking forward to having Craig joining us. And but yeah, as you can see, it's a lot of great panelists that have just come aboard. Very excited about it, and we're gonna have a great time. Yeah, like I said, introducing Imaginarium to several of them, and then the rest. You know who you are. You guys know who you are. And so yes, we're gonna go over now. And before I get into tonight, since it's a themed show, and again, I'll be watching the chat room tonight. Hello to DL Hearn. Moon, yeah, good to have you aboard. Good to have you aboard. I will probably be taking call-ins. Well, let's say I will be taking call-ins. So I will let you know when I open things up for call-ins to discuss this topic once I give a little bit of an overview to it. But tonight's show is brought to you by Sandy Lender, the Genre Blender, and that fine fellow, Ren Garcia. So we're going to go ahead and give them a little spotlight, a little love, a little recognition, and then we can begin tonight's discussion. So here's a little bit about Sandy and that awesome nonfiction release that she has. Pick it up, folks.
Are you a creative person working a 9-to-5 job to survive? Let's look at how to keep your energy and joy alive with the new motivational business book, Capture Your Dream, from author Sandy Lender. In Capture Your Dream, Sandy offers stories, lessons, inspiration, SWOT analysis, goal stacking strategies, and more to help you map your plan to achieve a dream job or side hustle. As a creative herself, Sandy knows it takes compromise and commitment to keep the day job to survive while chasing the dream to thrive. Assess your dragon score. Learn more about Capture Your Dream at AuthorSandyLender.com.
And thank you, Sandy. As always, you're the best, and hope all is going well down there in the fine state of Florida, which is probably also really warm at this time of year. Yeah, even like I said, Kentucky has gotten very warm these days. And now we will go over to Ren Garcia with the League of Elders series.
The League of Elder dares to be unusual. It's easy to be swept away in this bold and uninhibited landscape where fantastic heroes become old friends and sinister villains inhabit every dark corner. Dare to explore things best left alone. Each book is your lantern, lighting the path to a world never before seen. So what do you say? Are you weird enough for us?
Yes, we are, Ren. We are definitely weird enough for you, and ready to roll, and ready to get started on this topic. And so, yes, since I will be hosting solo tonight, I am yes, yes. DL Hearn pipes in. I'm too weird, not too weird for us, not too weird for us. Yeah, but it's a good kind of weird, to be specific. But yes, I'm going to get going on our topic tonight, and then we're also going to give you a window for call-ins, so be ready for that. I'm going to be looking out for that. I will allow call-ins. I got it marked, and if you are participating in the chat room, it should be a button on the top right somewhere to call host or call in the host. And then, I think that's how it works, because right now I have to look at the full board on my laptop, so I'm not seeing exactly what you see on the phone right now, but yeah, it should be there, and I'd love to have you guys call in. But preparing for events as a creative, and this applies to everybody. This applies to book folks. This applies to film folks. It applies to everybody. All kinds of creatives. So whether you're going to gaming convention, whether you're doing book fairs, signings, everything, preparing for them and how to get the most out of them. And some things are not the conventional way of looking at it as far as getting value out of it. But then some things are very obvious. So first of all, you definitely want to be you want to be careful when you are signing up for events. And I think if you've been looking on the internet lately, there's been a lot of booktube posts about some real disasters that have occurred and been covered extensively as far as some book events that were really, I would almost say, they venture into the area of almost a scam in terms of how they're represented and what actually transpired. And if you are, and I saw a really good post today in the Authors Around the World book events page today that got me thinking too. And I was almost like serendipitous because it's right on topic for this. But the first thing you need to do when preparing for any type of events is to research the ones that you do before you book them. And so, yes, I think the advice given in the Author Events Around the World forum that was in a post from Angie Stanton Johnson was really, really good. And so when you're looking into an event, as far as with red flags that you're looking with, and I think she made a really good post on this. And one of the things that she pointed out is when you look up an event and it says no prices listed or to be determined later, or it has no venue or hotel listed or to be determined later. Then it also has no name of hosts. So if there's no name of the actual people hosting it or the organization hosting it, anything like that. Also, if it's a first year event and then they say anticipated number of readers and attendees, an event without a track record that hasn't done it before, but they put up this number of anticipated number of readers events. And then when you look into them further, they have no social media presence and at all. And so some of the tips that I saw on this post are really good for researching an event. Because first of all, you want to make sure that you're going to a legitimate event, one that's going to deliver on what they say they're going to deliver, and one where you do know the focus of the event, whether that is a writing conference, which is going to be more of a networking type environment and learning and mentorship type environment, or if you're going to strictly a book fair where the emphasis is going to be more on sales and that kind of thing. And then of course some like ours, which kind of has an umbrella that includes all of that. But you want to research for sure what kind of events that you are doing before you sign aboard. And the thoughts that I have on this too is that when you're going into an event, you also don't want to look at it strictly in terms of money from sales. That's one of the biggest things I want to touch on tonight before I open up for some call-ins, because this is something that's important when you look at the value of an event. Because often it's one of the things I think frustrates an attending author most quickly is when they get to an event and they don't sell as many books out on their table that they would like to, or if it starts to go a little slow, they start to get a little frustrated, and then things kind of spiral. From that point, I've watched it happen at tons of different live events, and I've even seen authors get frustrated and leave in the early part of the day or in the middle of an event. And yeah, you just have to understand that, yeah, do not go in with expectations on sales figures. It's, of course, there's, events where you will do well and you will make good sales, and then you will be able to cover like your table fees and cover your travel costs and things like that. There's others that are not going to work out that way, but the key is to start to break it down to see the value of the event beyond that. And this is something that I think that Dan Klefstad touches on really well in his DIY book promo book. I love that book. It's one of my earliest exposures to where Dan is coming from. He's a co-host of Vamp Chat with Dan and Eva podcast. He's a book publicist and really knows his stuff. But he gets into this extensively. But you look at an event as a marketing and promotional opportunity and as a stepping stone. And what I mean by that is that the event itself is a way for you to, promote your name out there, connect with media, to be able to get media in advance of the event, also to use it as a stepping stone to that and beyond. And so what you want to do is you want to look at the event as an opportunity to develop media opportunities, whether it's traditional media like radio or TV stations, because they're always looking for people to come aboard. I mean, they're always looking for people to come aboard. Like, yeah, we're going to be doing an appearance. Holly and I are on WKYT TV coming up in early July, for instance. And I know Dan and Eva are doing something. I think I forget the exact channel, but it's one of the big stations in Louisville. But they're very friendly to people when you're doing events, and especially if it's in a smaller like local environment, like the local paper, the local radio station, things like that. And so when you are going to an event, it is an entree to you to get some media exposure. And so there's one area of value for the event. The other area that I think is incredibly valuable is in the area of networking. And this can happen at a regular sales-oriented book fair. This is, something definitely, obviously, that's at the center of a conference. But you look at the value of making those connections, not just for furthering, your career, but also for getting knowledge-based kind of resources, finding some people that can pick their brains at different times and get that kind of insight and advice that will help you, through, like if you're building a marketing plan and it's an author that is really, really savvy on that you can talk to. There's a lot of opportunity at any kind of event to connect with people and really, really get some good connections that are going to help you both as to further your career path, but also to get you into get you questions answered. Somebody that you can use as a sounding board, a mentor, especially like a mentor. If you find a mentor, they're worth their weight in gold. And so that's another area of value that I think that people definitely overlook very often at events. And so use that as an opportunity to network. And so looking into the comments here real quick here. Let's see. I got a comment here from Melinda Andrews. I'm going to go ahead and read this. I was invited to Milwaukee Irish Fest due to the organizer seeing my name and book descriptions on a different event site. And networking and getting your name out there is so important. Yes, that's the thing. Yeah, once you go to events and once you promote that you're at events, it definitely puts you on the radar. It's definitely a very valuable publicity activity, and so definitely look at that for sure. So as I said earlier, do not just look at it as strictly a sales event. Look at it as a door to expanding your platform in terms of media and media opportunities, not just prior to the event, but also after the event. Look at it as a source of networking, both for folks that can help you make the right connections to advance your career path, to get in touch with that literary agent, to get in touch with that publisher or editor, that type of thing, or the type of person that can act as a good sounding board or a good resource for you in terms of knowledge, mentorship, and those kind of areas. That's an area that is extremely valuable. You could go through a weekend and sell 2 books, but if you've come out of it and you've expanded your platform, you've got media opportunities, and you've made connections that are going to help you take the next steps, or people are going to give you the kind of advice that are going to save you a lot of pain, in your activities, and save you a lot of money too, especially when it comes to a lot of the marketing side things. That's worth its weight in gold. And so, when you assess what you got out of an event afterwards, you need to factor in those things for sure. And so when you're preparing for an event, you want to set the ground for a lot of that. You want to make sure that you research who is going to be at the event, and you want to research if they're going to have programming, and you want to research the kind of activities they have. I mean, because there may be some singular activities that are going to get you in a position to meet the right people, and also activities where you're going to get some really high value knowledge. And for purposes of demonstrating that, I'm going to use Imaginarium, just because, yeah, it's an easy one for me to use here. But for, like, if you're a filmmaker, for instance, this year we have Green Apple Entertainment. I am going to talk to, I do think I'm going to have a call from Amy McCorkle. Looks like she is on deck, so I'm going to have her come on and talk a little bit about this too. But this opportunity, we have Roxanne Warren, who is their distribution executive, participating with us, and she's holding private sessions with filmmakers and screenwriters, and it's open. I mean, you can pitch a project for distribution. You can talk to them about what they call partnerships, where they have a large post-production facility in Cincinnati, and they do partner with filmmakers to do projects and complete projects. And so you could pitch for that. Or if you just want to pick their brain about the world of distribution, especially with all the streaming opportunities out there and platforms and all the mess that's there, because believe me, in the last 20 years, I mean, it has changed a lot in terms of TV and film distribution. There's just so many opportunities, so many things, and it's not the easiest world to navigate if you're a newer filmmaker. So what you need to do is, with that, is get one of those slots. If you're a filmmaker or a screenwriter, it'll give you a chance to make a connection with somebody that is a top industry person, who does this for a living. 2, it gives you a chance to get that question answered, like I said, and 3, it may lead to distribution opportunity, a production partnership, or something like that. But again, that is just one thing that has taken place, at our convention, that should come up on your radar if you're a filmmaker or a screenwriter, and that alone could actually be provide you with value that justify the entire event. And then looking, of course, at the panels and workshops, and seeing who is on them, because not only should you go and check out the panels and workshops that pertain to some topic areas that you want to, but it gives you the easy entree to meet the people that are on those panels. That's a very easy conduit there. And of course, a lot of them are, do have vendor presences, and you can go back to their vendor spaces after the panels and continue conversations. Once you have seen them face to face, that's somebody that you can make a reference to seeing them at that panel, and that you use that as an icebreaker to introduce yourself and talk to them further. And it's just it's just good to plan ahead and get a game plan together for the weekend. You may not have every hour planned, and I don't think you should. I think you should always leave yourself some flexibility, because you're going to meet people there. You might want to pop out for lunch to talk to some new people you know, or people that you've reunited with at the event, and or have an actual meet business kind of meeting. You want to leave yourself some flexibility for that, and sometimes a given hour is going to have two or three things happening that you want to go to all three of them, and you're going to make a game time decision on what you want to go to. But it is a good idea to at least go into like a conference or a large convention with a bit of a personal itinerary on what you're going to do that Friday, that Saturday, that Sunday, or if it's 2-day event, Saturday, Sunday, or one day, whatever it is. You're going to want to come up with an advance, a rough, general itinerary, and understand. Yeah, things may change. You may get that great introduction to a mentor. You may get a connection to somebody that's really going to be able to help you with your career path, and it may you may need to change plans. So leave yourself with the idea that there's going to be some flexibility, but definitely go into it with a little bit of advanced planning. Don't go in and just wing it. Don't go in and just wing it. And look, and again, it's not just panels and workshops, but there's social events and activities, room parties. Look at the social events, because they when they're hosting like official room parties, it doesn't mean you have to go crazy. If you don't drink, don't drink. Don't worry about it. But those are great places where people really are relaxed, and it's really conducive to being introduced to people, to meeting them. So take advantage of the evening stuff. Go around, stop in, visit these room parties, introduce yourself, meet people in that relaxed, non-formal environment, and when you're going to like a room party hosted by somebody like the Literary Underworld or Per Bostet or something like that, it's going to be very well watched and run. And if somebody is getting out of line or anything, they are whisked off very quickly. So yes, it's a very comfortable environment. Everybody does look out for each other really nicely. It is it has a he's not formal, but it's got a quasi professional presence, because everybody there, are professionals, they are creatives, and they're not going to let things, people get out of line. So yeah, so don't feel intimidated about going to the social events that happen in the evening at a convention, the ones that are run by actual presses or organizations or film production groups, or anything that's kind of social. Make room for that, because those are the places where you're really gonna get into conversations. You're gonna break the ice, and you're gonna really make some great connections and friendships for the long run. It's happened myself. I've met some lifelong friends, just chilling and sitting there and chatting at Literary Underworld party or a Per Bosset room party, and just sitting in the corner and talking shop, or just talking about anything. It's definitely a great environment for that. So do take advantage of the social events that occur at night, and get out there. Yeah, don't stay locked up in your hotel room. Another bit of advice is stay on site. Now that sounds like I'm biased, and because I'm advocating, stay at our hotel site, but it makes it logistically easier for you, and it gives you a place to step out and take a break. So most of us, I consider myself an omnivert. So yes, there's times where I feel okay being extroverted or talking in public, but I do need my space sometimes, and I do need some downtime. I can't do it. I can't go full throttle all the time. And so when I'm at an event, I always try to stay on site at the event if it's a multi-day event, just so I have that spot where if I need to step out for an hour, or I need to decompress for a little bit and just step out of the mayhem and the energy and having to be on all the time, I can do so. So yeah, definitely try to, even if it's a few more bucks, I mean, it will be well worth your while to make sure that you're staying on site. And often, and in most cases that I see, people have no trouble finding very good roommates. So if to split costs, and that's a very good option. So if the convention happens to run a forum like we do on Facebook, a lot of them do. A lot of them do have convention forums. You can put some feelers out if you're new and don't know somebody, and then of course obviously kind of get some background on who the person is. But if you don't have a friend or somebody that you already know at the convention, so yeah, due diligence always, of course. But yeah, it's usually not hard to find somebody to split the costs on a room with, and so that you can stay on site and take advantage of having that spot to back into. I mean, so yes, I see LJ Mack is doing that this year. She's staying on site this year instead of having to travel. Yes, and that will make, trust me, that's going to make your weekend 100 times more pleasant, with that space, not having to worry about travel. And then also, once you're on site and you're kind of immersed in there, it's easy to get, if you need to find a place to eat, or you need to get around or something like that. It's a lot easier to find help and things like that. So the simple act of staying on site is a big thing that I advocate, even if it is a little bit more expensive. Yes, I see some other recommendations in here as well. I'd like to pass along Melinda Andrews saying, always have your business cards with you. Yes. Yes, that is very good. Yeah, I see it that DL Hearn says carry a dot digital business card as well as paper cards. Yes, it's definitely your conventions. You're always gonna bump into people, and you never know where. It could be at that room party. It could be after that panel. It could be while walking the vendor hall. You're definitely going to want to always carry that with you. Yeah, and yes, Carol Preflatich says, always carry your business cards with you. Hotel employee saw me reading by the pool last week and started talking books. Mentioned she was a mystery author, and she said she'd look my books up. I remember to toss my cards in my bag and gave her one. You never know when a sales opportunity will pop up. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I've been on. I haven't had a vacation in God knows how long. But in the early years of being a published author, I was able to get out a little bit and have an occasional vacation back in the like around 2010, 2011, even into 2012. And I do remember, yes, always bumped into readers, in the oddest of places, and having that business card to give them. Yeah, it is a sales opportunity, and sometimes, yeah, you bump into somebody. It's even an industry person, so you're going to make a lot of connections. And yeah, and as Melinda has backed me up, thank you. Thank you. She says if you stay on site, there's more opportunity to make connections. Unexpected conversations are sometimes the best. Exactly, that's exactly it. Yeah, that's going to take place at your room parties, at your when you're going for breakfast in the hotel in the morning. It's going to happen on the elevator. I've made connections, people just riding the elevator, getting an initial introduction, just riding an elevator. So it could happen anywhere. So yeah, you definitely want to be prepared for that. And yeah, the convention environment, it's very expected that people are gonna talk to you, want to meet you, and everybody's running around wearing your lanyards to begin with that identify you. So yeah, you'll notice when you walk around, yeah, people are always kind of looking down and gawking at your lanyard. if they haven't met you yet, you see a lot of that when you're walking around a convention. So yeah, definitely yeah, be prepared for those. And I am going to bring aboard right now award-winning author, filmmaker, and screenwriter and podcaster as well, Amy Leigh McCorkle. So give me a sec, Amy. I'm going to bring you aboard. Let's see. God, she should have my invite now. She was waiting on Colin, and she is aboard. Isn't this great?
Hello.
Technology does work. Isn't it great when it does?
It worked.
Happy about that. Yeah, because yeah, I'm riding solo tonight, so thank you for calling in. And I mentioned this to you before the show, but I thought you would be perfect for this topic because you do a ton of events. You know how to make value out of them. You know the value of networking, mentorship,
Oh my
connection,
gosh.
stuff
Yeah,
I've been.
that's like the most important thing.
Yeah, I
Um,
want you to talk about that a little bit.
well, actually, people would try to tell me early on at conventions, it's not about selling books, it's about meeting people. And I didn't really get what networking was, but through places like Imaginarium, and actually a class I took out at a now no longer festival, unfortunately, AOF. The instructor asked the question, "What business are we in?"
Mm-hmm.
And our bit, and a lot of people said, "Well, we're in the business of art, we're in the business of this, we're in the business of that." And he said, "We're in the business of relationships." Because yes, we are in the business of all these other things, writing, filmmaking, publishing, but it's like one half art, one half business. And the thing that brings those two things together is getting to know each other and making connections. And where I made the connection with Green Apple Entertainment, you see, you never know where you're going to make it.
Mm-hmm. I want to hear the
I
story.
went to
I want to
this
hear the story.
tiny festival called Branson at the time. They're bigger now, but at the time they were just tiny. And I found out that a distributor was going to be there. And I had letters to Daniel there, and it had been received very well. We were nominated for quite a few things. And I was lucky that way because, when you enter a film festival, it's so subjective. You just don't know. And it's not personal, It's just, anyway, I asked if we could meet with the acquisitions executive that was coming from Green Apple. It wasn't Roxanne, it was someone else whose name escapes me at the time. But me and my team, part of my team was going to have to fly out in the morning before he was going to do his panel the next morning. And we went to Chili's, and we literally shut the restaurant down just talking and pitching projects.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
Right there,
that
just eating dinner at
meeting
Chili's.
changed
Just eating dinner at
everything.
Chili's. Yep. Mm-hmm.
That meeting absolutely changed everything. Um, and I've built that was in, like, that sweet spot time between being allowed to have, it was like 2021, I believe, when things were opening up again for a little while.
Yeah. Yeah. Just starting
And
to. Mm-hmm.
and I was like, I've built a relationship with them over this time. And I was like, what, I want to introduce them to Imaginarium, but I didn't know when the right time would be. But then I saw some of when you see a convention's festival side grow exponentially, like your alls have over the last couple of years, I was like, okay, now's the time to pitch that idea to Stephen and to Roxanne, because Roxanne's pretty high up on the totem pole at
Oh
that.
yeah. Yes, she is.
And because I talk directly to her now, like whenever I
Mhm.
have ideas for a movie or distribution, it's her I
Yeah.
go to. Like, right, I'll email her, or and she and I said, listen, there's this festival that is really, has been really, this convention. I said convention because
Mhm.
the
Oh,
festival I feel
yeah.
like the festival is on the verge of being like, I feel like it's a creative writing convention, but your festival is so good. And I think you all are wanting to grow the festival.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
when I started talking to Roxanne and I explained that, she goes, "Oh, that sounds like a wonderful thing to be a part of." She goes, "They haven't, like, I've had some bad experiences at other places." And she goes, "It's not one of these other," I was like, "No, no, 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 no. I would not
Mhm.
bring a valued connection, but I'm going to impress upon everyone in the room, whether you're a screenwriter or a filmmaker, to try to get one of those slots and make a time to talk to her or
Mhm.
the gentleman Jonathan,
Jonathan
who's the
Noss.
other one, is going to be there, and he's going
Mhm.
to be there in person. So
Yep.
when he's going to be there Friday, I believe. I think we're sitting on the same panel,
And into Saturday. Yep. Mhm.
and into
Absolutely.
Saturday, grab him, talk to
Mhm.
him, get him a coffee. Sometimes that's the easiest. That's an easy way to break to break the glass. Say,
Mhm.
hey, would you like to get a coffee? You can offer to pay for his coffee, or you can just say it in a mutual sense, like, hey, let's go get a coffee at
Mhm.
the yeah, or find somewhere in the hotel
Mhm.
lobby to kind of set in. And I will say this: research your fellow guests, because if they are
Yes.
agent authors, uh,
Mhm.
approach them in an organic way and say, listen, I'm looking for something new to read. What off your list would you suggest? And then they'll tell you. I said, what? And then maybe say, what are you working on now? And they'll tell you about it. And then maybe you'll get lucky and they'll say, hey, what are you working on? And that's
Mhm.
how I got my literary agent at Imaginarium, Stephanie Hansen.
Mhm.
And
Yep. It's gonna be there
so
this year. Yep.
yes, and I've read her books. Her books are excellent. She totally deserves her nomination in the Imagines this year.
Oh yeah. Well, she's an
It's,
excellent
it's
writer.
like a fantastic book. Um, but she's also a fantastic agent. She has already, you know, she's gotten me 2 audiobook deals. So on the sub, because she'll do subsidiary rights if you've self-published.
Mhm.
If you can demonstrate, so there's networking is so crucial. Can I tell a funny story real quick, kind of side
Yes.
related?
No,
Okay, so
oh,
that
you're a
year,
master networker, so yeah, you know how to do
so
it.
that year, I was having side pain and I didn't know why. Well, the very next week, I went in for gallbladder surgery, and before I got the gallbladder surgery, I had an appointment to talk to Stephanie after Imaginarium to talk about signing a contract for her to be my literary agent, right?
Mm.
And I said, I'm in pain. I don't think I can keep the call. And so my cousin who was there, much older cousin who was there cleaning the house, offered me a gummy. And I said, how much of this do I take? I've never taken a gummy before. And she goes, oh, just take the whole thing.
Oh, oh no.
Oh my gosh. I'm talking to her, and about 15 minutes into the conversation, it feels like my brain is coming apart, right?
Yeah, I've heard these stories before. Yes.
Yes. And then all of a sudden, I don't know how long I've been talking or how long I've been quiet. And I thought, oh crap. But fortunately, I looked over to the side. I've been, and for somehow I'd been keeping copious notes. So so I got off the phone with her as quickly as possible, hoping I hadn't ruined it. And I hadn't. She ended up keeping me on as a client. So I'm very fortunate. So she's very approachable. Just, I would
Good stuff.
recommend,
Yeah.
that's another way to network. Ask what people are working on, ask them about themselves,
Mhm.
because it makes them feel more comfortable and relaxed to open up and maybe ask you what you're working on.
Mhm. Most definitely.
And if you're a filmmaker or screenwriter, Green Apple is so approachable. They're so kind. It's not a guarantee of anything, but you
No.
will definitely learn a lot from your conversation with them. I've been fortunate enough to build a relationship, and the all 4 books are now are signed as distribution deals for future movies and a limited series spinoff of Letters to Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
And
Congratulations.
so you all, if I mean, look, I'm not the greatest writer in the world, but I do hustle and I do network and I do market.
Mhm.
So I know if I can parlay, indie dramas are really hard sell, but I know that at Imaginarium, you kind of lean into genre, not just one genre, but a lot of genres, and like all the genres, and including drama. But if you actually have a genre piece, it's going to benefit you. It's just what's market. It's what's selling right now.
Mhm.
So I think, like Carol and Dewan and my phone keeps.
It's all right. Yeah, we gotta looking at chat room right now, just seeing if we got any questions. Not yet.
Yeah, if you could relay them to me because my phone goes black.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
there we go.
But yeah, so I'm thinking, like, even authors would benefit from talking to, if they're looking to take their book and turn it into a
Yes.
script.
Hmm.
It benefits them to talk to a distributor and say,
How's it work? Yeah.
how does it work? This is what my book is about. Will it fit into your scheme? Your production or distribution scheme. And I just think, I love Imaginarium because you can go at your own pace. I know you say go to the night party.
Yeah, it can be beneficial. I know.
It is. It is. You're right. You're
Yeah,
very right. Because they act as networking parties
they do. Hmm.
at other at film festivals and conventions. They might actually be called networking parties. In
Yes.
conventions, I've heard them called room parties.
Hmm.
At in film festivals, I would yeah, I've heard them called their networking parties. Like at the
Hmm.
horror hotel that I just went to, not only did as a part of their networking party, I see where you're having this. You all do usually is was a karaoke party,
Yes, we do. That's on Saturday.
and the second night they do karaoke on the networking party, and then they tailgate at midnight, and
Oh,
the
cool.
host makes hamburgers, hot dogs, all that kind of stuff, and it's free to the filmmakers there.
Nice. That
So,
sounds like a
I
good event.
mean, that might be something to look into doing in the future. I don't know, but I've got to hop off here. I don't want to. Um.
Oh, you're fine.
Uh.
No, thank you for calling
Yeah,
because
but I
you
don't want to
do this
hog the
so well.
conversation.
It's all right. You do this so well, and I mean, I've watched you since the beginning. You were there the first year of Imaginarium, and it's just astonishing just to watch the progress that you've made year to year to year. And you're always going to events. You're always making connections. You're always out there. And no, I think no you're one of the creatives that really embodies how to make value at an event and not get stuck in how many books did I sell. You know how to make those events work for you, no
Yeah,
matter
like
what, no matter
I
what.
would say, look, if the film festival, look for like if you're a filmmaker or a screenwriter, look for a director who is attending. Look for a producer.
Uh huh.
There is oh, I can't think of the name of Russell Emmanuel. I call him Russ, but
Yeah.
his producer of his movies is one of them is coming to Imaginarium.
Hmm.
So find him, connect with him. When
Yeah.
I was an example is I was at a convention or a festival, and my off Broadway play. I was like, theaters covered, insurance covered. I had nailed down my executive producer, and then like a week ago, the executive producer text messages me, "Sorry, I have to quit." And I was like, "Oh no, what am I going to do?" Well, I went to this festival, and I connected with another vendor who um who was a printer, and they're doing our playbills for free,
Nice.
and doing a couple of other things for us. So it's you never know if it's a vendor, if it's a filmmaker, if it's
Hmm.
another author, if it's a publisher, if it's an author agent, you know,
Hmm.
just network. And Melinda had a ton of great uh, advice in the chat room. And and Juan, if you ever just want to, just pull me aside I'm going to be at Imaginarium. You know where I am all 3 days. I think we're actually getting a hotel room this year. Sometimes I can't afford it, but I think this year we're getting a hotel room. We've reserved the room,
Yep.
uh, so pull me aside. Anybody wants to talk to me, my friend Missy and writing partner Missy knows I'll talk to anyone.
Yes, you can vouch. Yeah, no,
Uh,
Dwan's production company, Hallowed Hills Entertainment. Yeah, they've had they're up and coming. I mean, they're definitely right in that spot that you're talking about, the one that needs to be meeting the Roxannes or the Jonathans or others. They're definitely in that kind of place. And yeah,
well, I'm gonna hop off here, and I don't know how to hang up.
okay. Well, I can do that for you.
Okay. Well,
Ready?
everyone, I
Let me
look
know.
forward to seeing you at Imaginarium. And oh, I got that one award,
Yes,
Stephen.
I wanted to bring that up. It's going to be called the Del Weston Excellence in Film Award, and Amy is going to present it in honor of the late great Del Weston, writer, director, actor, creator of AOF Megafest, and he was known for taking thousands of creators under his wing and mentoring them, setting them free, and just an amazing, amazing guy. And we did, the first person to actually receive this award was Thomas More, but this year they're going to be three recipients that will be celebrated at the awards banquet presented by Amy. So definitely, this is a cool thing. This is going to get a formal announcement. You're getting the scoop right now on the Star Chamber show. But this is being added to our awards banquet. So be ready, folks. And yes, Amy, it's amazing. That's a great award.
Expect me to cry when I'm giving it, because Del Weston was he was a mentor. That goes straight back to what you said, Stephen. He was a huge mentor. He wanted to be the guy who said yes, because so many people get said no to in this
Yes.
industry.
Hmm.
And he really changed every, like, it was like everybody, like you said, stepping stone, but I feel like everybody had a huge part to play, but it was like he put rocket fuel in because he was just that kind of mentor. And who knows, you may find him at Imagine, you're out there, you'll find him at him or her at Imaginarium.
Hmm. Absolutely. And yeah, he is definitely a prime example of a great mentor and the kind of person, yeah, you want to meet. And I'm excited that we're going to be able to honor him in this way, and hopefully for years to come. I definitely want this
Yes,
award to be
that's the idea.
this award to be part of the mix for years to come. And thank you, Amy. And thanks for the
Okay,
call tonight. Thank
thank
you.
you. Good night.
Night. All right, we had Amy McCorkle in the house here, folks, and yeah, it's just been a pleasure to watch Amy because she's a networking dynamo, and she goes to all kinds of events. I mean, she goes to film festivals, she goes to book conferences, book fairs, things like ours that kind of bring it all under the roof. And I've just seen her just make connections everywhere, and her stories are always great. Like like time she was traveled up to meet Kevin Smith one time the legendary Kevin Smith, and just all the different adventures that Amy's been on. But that's because she is a go-getter. She understands that the worst thing people can do. And remember this: if there's nothing else you get out of tonight's show, just remember the worst that somebody can do is say no. That's really the worst that can happen when it comes to a lot of this. And so do not be afraid to, make that approach to meet people, to, try to connect and things like that. Because again, the worst somebody can do is say no. And yeah, you're none the worse for wear. So don't be afraid to do that. And yeah, and definitely, yeah, when you're in one of these networking environments, though, yeah, probably best to stay away from the gummies. And if you are drinking, yeah, just make sure you're keeping it to moderation, folks. Yeah, because yeah, that could definitely tilt toward the wrong impression sometimes. But I definitely was chuckling when Amy was talking about that story with Stephanie Hansen, who is a great literary agent who's going to be at Imaginarium. And also, I should mention Cherry Weiner is another example of one of those program gems that you look out for, because she's giving 2 Ask the Agent sessions, and then 1 Pitch the Agent session. So authors who are interested in finding out about the world of writing queries to agents, picking the brain of an agent, or pitching their project to a major agent who has definitely negotiated major press deals, major franchise tie-in deals, all kinds of stuff. She's the real deal. And so you look for opportunities like that with a Stephanie Hansen, a Cherry Weiner, somebody of that nature. Or if you're a filmmaker, or Amy said, even an author, that's a great networking opportunity to talk to a Roxanne Warren or a Jonathan Nosp. And he is the director of post-production at that post-production house in Cincinnati that I was referring to earlier. So, I mean, they are great people to talk to if you're an author who is wanting to take your intellectual property, your franchise into the film world, and they can definitely help you save a lot of pain and navigate the waters of the film world for sure. And so yeah, so look at the event, what they're offering, who's attending, look for those opportunities. Stay rested, stay on site so that you can step out and take a break every now and then, but be active all the way throughout. And then participate not just in the formal sessions, but also in those social environments, the room parties and things like that. And again, you will see the room parties and things like that promoted at these events. Sometimes they are called networking parties, like Amy said. Often in the book world, they are just called room parties. But when you see the flyers and posts up for them, they will identify who is hosting them. And like I said, at Imaginarium, there's some really good ones. Like I said, the Per Bostet one, Literary Underworld, always gives great ones on Friday and Saturday nights. And then there is also, of course, Morgan Hazelwood, and I know has hosted a good one. Sako Toomey they've hosted one as well that I heard was awesome. So yeah, definitely keep an eye out for those, because that's a great way to meet creatives. And I was gonna mention that LJ Mack got it before I mentioned that. Yes, that's a pro tip right there, LJ. She says, and take Monday off work to recover if you have a day job. Yes, folks. Yeah, if you're doing a full convention weekend and you can at all help it, yeah, take the Monday off. You will come back. Yeah, like I said, hopefully in a good kind of drained feeling, like the kind where, like we hear, your creative batteries are recharged, ready to unleash and do new projects and stuff like that. But when it comes to the immediate physical self, yeah, you need a day to kind of recalibrate. And so after the weekend at a convention or an event, yeah, definitely take the Monday off. We do it. We do it as convention organizers. We actually don't head back to Lexington until Tuesday. We've made it a practice now of staying up in Louisville on that Monday for this very same reason. Of course, we're not going to get our brain back for at least a week after Imaginarium. We never do, but the point still stands. Yeah, take the Monday off work. And you got a year to plan for most conventions that you attend, or at least several months to do so. So yeah, most employers should be cooperative, unless you're like the most essential employee that they've got and you just can't budge them, which occasionally happens to some of our great guests, where they get pulled on mandatory things and we have to make some schedule changes. That sucks. But most cases, yeah, I've seen where employers are pretty accommodating for giving you a little bit of a break coming off a convention weekend. So yeah, take the Monday off. And good advice, LJ. Yes, definitely, for sure. And yeah, I'm looking at yeah. See, Melinda Andrews is chuckling at that comment too. Yes, it is. Yeah, yeah, definitely. That probably rounds it out. But I hope I've given you some kernels of wisdom tonight. And yeah, they're driving home Monday, so I have the car ride decompress. Okay, so for you, Melinda, Tuesday, Tuesday, clear your deck and say you're not doing anything. So Tuesday, if you're traveling on Monday, yeah, take Tuesday off then. But but yeah, give yourself a day after returning from a convention to decompress. But again, just to kind of summarize everything up that we talked about tonight, don't look at an event strictly in terms of how many books did I sell. Look at the other areas of value and plan ahead to take advantage of those other areas of value, whether it's getting media in advance of the event or using the event as a stepping stone to get media beyond the event. Whether you're going to, the kinds of folks that you're going to network with and connect with, both for mentoring you along your way in your career path, or to help you with, being a sounding board and getting, information, insights, and advice on areas that, you may not be as comfortable in, like if you're looking at matters of distribution, or the publishing world, or book marketing, and some of those things that can get really complicated. Find the people that will help you with that. You definitely want to look at every opportunity you can to do that networking, because that's going to be ultimately, I think that networking is one of the areas where you can really make an event pay off 100 times over, even if it does cost a bit to go to the event. The networking ultimately, I think, is where the big value is of an event. And that's not ruling out, of course, having a good weekend of sales. And certainly, I've seen that happen for a lot of folks. I've seen, like, Lawrence Weil wiped out of all of his books last year, and he literally had none to take home. So that's great when that happens. And but it's just not always a guarantee at all events. And so, if don't set like expectations on that going in. Be more in an even keel, so that when you do have a big sales weekend, you can celebrate. But if it's modest or low, even, it's not gonna break your spirit, because you're looking at all the other areas of value that you can get out of that event, and make sure that you keep them in the balance when looking back on the weekend and seeing what you got out of it, because that's the stuff. Yeah, a few book sales will get a few dollars for the near term. But those, when you get your platform bigger, and when you make those kind of connections and things like that, that's what's gonna be the big value for long term. That's gonna get you the long term value. So look to that. And let's see here. I'll take, if anybody's got a last question. Otherwise, I'll probably wrap this up. So yes, we've definitely had a good show tonight, and I hope you guys have gotten some insight and value out of stuff that Amy was talking about, or stuff that I was talking about. And hopefully it gives you a different perspective on how to plan and look at events, and where the value is, and how to prepare for them. But definitely do your homework, research them, and research the one before even booking them on your calendar. Make sure you research them thoroughly. If you do go back and read some of those bullet points I read from that author events forum that were actually posted today. I mean, those are, definitely, look for the red flags before you proceed further with any event, and do your due diligence in all things. And that should be it. But thank you. I don't see any questions in the chat room, so I am going to go ahead and wrap it up. But it's been a great show with you guys tonight, and looking forward to my birthday next week for sure. So don't know what Holly has planned, so we may not have a show next week. There's an outside possibility. We may pop a Thursday show in, but can't promise that. So I will post the updates in all our channels. But count on the week after next. Count on that being the big Imaginarium overview that will go into detail on the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of Imaginarium. And thank you very much. And thank you, Melinda and Dwan and LJ and everybody else. Really appreciate the kind words. And yeah, stay, as Holly would always say, stay creative and have a wonderful night. Take care, you.